Hey everybody, this is Zach Ditmars here for Fish Talk Magazine. Thank you for tuning in to another installment of Live with Lenny. This evening we're going to be discussing 3 awesome April angling road trips. So stick around and got lots to talk about. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce our angler in chief, Mr. Lenny Rudo. What's happening?
Hey, what's up, Zach?
I can't believe it's been a month.
But I know it's crazy, isn't it?
We got a lot of fishing in though since last month. So
don't remind me, man. I don't even want to think about the last time you and me went fishing.
We caught over 18 fish cumulatively, if I recall.
Cumulatively. Just for the record, people, I believe Zach caught 14 or 15, and I caught 4. And I must have snagged 800 trees and broken off 63 to 68 rigs. So, hey, it happens. What are you going to
do? The universe is all about balance, because the trip before that, you caught 3 nice rockfish and I caught 3 trophy-sized bunker.
That's true.
So, you know, you got to balance it out, you know. Rockfish is closed, so you know that's what we're here to talk about, all the other opportunities that April provides.
But you know, the beautiful thing is, living on the Chesapeake Bay, I don't care what month of the year it is, there's always some really cool stuff to do. And we're going to talk about 3 trips today that anybody living anywhere around in the Chesapeake can just jump in the car and go do, you know, and they're all awesome, if you ask me. So there's lots of good fishing to be done, people. Yeah, we got to wait 6 weeks till we can catch rockfish again, but that's okay. There's a lot of other stuff to fish for.
Absolutely. Well, before we get started, any announcements? Anything going on this weekend?
Oh man, yeah, actually. So anybody in the Annapolis area will want to know that Anglers Sports Center is having their light tackle sales event this weekend. I will be there. I'll be there on Saturday from 10 until noon. Now the event, I'm pretty sure it goes on either all day or all weekend, but I'll just be there from 10 to noon, and I'll be perusing all the goodies to look at there at Anglers. So that should be a fun deal.
Nice. Yeah, it's all weekend. Here's some information about it. You can hop over to Anglers website. It's Saturday, Sunday, all kinds of things going on. So,
and then the big event, we got a big event coming up, right?
We do. Next weekend.
Not this coming. The one after.
The following weekend, yes. We got the Bay Bridge Boat Show, brand new location, Safe Harbor Narrows Point. I'm pretty excited. It's I mean, I loved the location of the previous, show, but it's something new. It's exciting. Essentially the whole show is going to be that over on the left of that marina, right in that huge open area closest to the bridge, and there'll be like 800 parking spaces just across the Narrows at the old outlet center. And there'll be a shuttle, or you can walk. I mean, it's only like probably a 10-minute walk. So it's pretty cool stuff. And tons of restaurants, and there's going to be live music anywhere. But at the show, there's going to be tons of cool new boats and tons of seminars. Fish Talk Fishing Spot. We're going to have the DNR. We're going to get Lucky and Blessed Fishing in there. CCA Maryland, I believe. And more. There's more stuff. Shoreboy Fishing is going to be there. And seminars. Saturday, there's a catfish tasting with the chef of the Narrows restaurant. And on Sunday, you're speaking, is that correct?
I will be speaking. I'm on Sunday. Gosh, what time am I on? Hold on a minute. I got to look at my calendar because I forgot what time I'm on. I'm on at noon. At noon, I'll be talking Chesapeake Bay fishing in 2025. And make sure you come on by, people. It'll be pretty cool. And at the fishing pavilion, you're going to find all kinds of cool stuff. And on top of that, boats. And I don't care what you like to fish for. It's so much fun to fish off of a boat, whether that's a kayak or a skiff or a center console, and all those kinds of boats are going to be at the show. And I'm a big proponent of it. You know why, Zach? I have a very specific reason.
Lay it on me.
I end up casting into far fewer trees than I do when I'm shoreline fishing.
I can attest to that.
Yes. So I love fishing from boats. If you love fishing from boats, make sure you come on by to the boat show. Even if you're not looking for a new boat, it's still going to be quite an event. There's all kinds of stuff going on. They got food trucks, they got restaurants there. And of course, Fish Talk Magazine will have a cool little goodie giveaway for all the kids. Just for kids, okay? When we had the lures, the Fish Talk lures, we had a lot of adults who were like, ooh, give me, give me, give me. And it's like, okay, that's cool. But look, this is for kids. So bring your kids by the fishing pavilion. Make sure to, we will have a Fish Talk gift for them.
Excellent. Well, most importantly, we forgot to mention that we actually are giving away 5 pairs of tickets.
5?
Yeah, we got 5 pairs of tickets. We'll be giving those away now through next Wednesday.
Sweet.
I put the link in the comments, or you can hop over there. If you go to the homepage of Fish Talk, there's also a button at the top right. If you're on mobile, you're gonna want to scroll down a bit. And yeah, just all you gotta do is drop your email in, and we'll be doing the draw at random. So
go to the website to enter.
yep, the URL is right up on the screen, fishtalkmag.com/win-tickets.
Huh. That shows you how up on things I am. I had no idea we had 5 to give away. I thought maybe 1 or 2. That's pretty cool.
We got 10 tickets, so everyone, gets to bring a friend.
Nice. And we're going to give away more goodies tonight. Some we're going to talk about in a little bit, but right now, isn't it time for the CCA Invasive Species winners? Oh, yes, here we go, people. So now remember, if you catch a blue cat, a flathead cat, or a snakehead, it's free to enter it in this, right? All you got to do is take the picture on the ruler and where you catch it and what it is. It's data that the fisheries managers want to know. They want to know where these invasive species are. And so CCA puts this on. It's free to enter. There's absolutely no cost. It's a piece of cake. It runs through the iAngler app. And when you enter any fish, you get a chance to win a cool prize. And last month, who won? I won. It's very exciting.
I don't understand why we won the same exact prize, but my fish was like 100 times bigger than yours. That just doesn't seem right.
Come on. Oh, my God.
Actually, there's more to it. If you don't even have to catch a fish. If you just register, the month you register gives you 1 entry into the prize count. So, just signing up, you get an entry. And if you don't have an opportunity to fish later this year, you can. And hey, we're going to talk about catfishing. It's great. April's a great time to go catfishing. I mean,
and here's a great irony for you. One of the items that I won was a CCA fillet knife, and I took it fishing with me, and then I used it to cut up mud shad to fish for more blue catfish. So how about that?
There you go. All right. Well, let's roll into the winners, and then we'll move on to other things. All right. First up,
Jay Werner, you are a lucky winner, sir. And that is a nice. Wait a minute. He got a nicer prize package than me. He got the fish grips too.
I already had the grips, so
Oh my God!
I like the snips.
Fish grips, fillet
those pliers. The pliers are the real star of this package. Those things are awesome. There's some.
I like the fillet knife.
Yeah.
You like the pliers more than the fillet knife?
Well, congrats, Jay. You can pop over to that URL and enter your address if you're tuned in tonight. Otherwise, reach out to CCA via email. Up next, same prize.
Glenn Knuckles. Another nice prize package. Congratulations, Glenn.
And last but not least, we have Matt O'Neill here.
Whoa, Matt, you won the angle. I think that's got to be like the grand prize of the night right there. Well, not quite, but in the invasives count. That is definitely.
I've had one of those for years. It's awesome. It's a great little cooler, and you can put rod holders on the side too, which is pretty sweet. So
excellent. Well, congrats.
That's a great kayak size too, if you're a kayaker. So
yeah. Congrats to all our winners, and remember, folks, just visit CCA, join in the invasives count. It is free, and you can win.
Yep, and there's a shortened URL, makes it real easy to find. iAngler's super easy to use. The Great Chesapeake Invasive Count is actually presented by Yamaha Right Waters, so we want to make sure that we mentioned, and they also help make this program possible. And we'd like to point that out, and there they are.
Thank you, Yamaha.
All right, I'm going to step behind the scenes here, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, and
we're ready to go fishing, right?
That's right.
Ready for some cool fishing trips. You ready, people? Go ahead and bring up the first slide, Zach. This is a trip that I love. April is the month for this, people. April is the month. Black drum on the beach. You know, I don't know what it is, but I just find this so cool. You can go surf fishing in Maryland and Virginia. Assateague is a wonderful place, but you can go farther south. You can do the other barrier islands, cast out your baits, and catch black drum right in the surf. How cool is that? Now, this is a picture of Eric Packer, one of our contributors right here. You can see that's a great size eating black drum right there, but you also get them much bigger. Carl went Monday and it was pretty good. Oh, man. Now, I'm jealous. Oh, I want to go so bad. Carl's comment popping up reminds me, people, we should mention, I forgot to mention, pop those questions right into the comments, send them flying. That's why we do this. That's why we make this happen, is so that you can ask the questions you want to ask and we can respond. But in the meantime, go ahead, Zach, take us to the next slide if you would, please. And we'll talk a little bit about how you make this happen. Just run on down to Assateague, Chincoteague, get out on the barrier island. What you want to throw out is basically a top and bottom rig with 6/0, 7/0 hooks, relatively large hooks. And this is my lovely wife, Melissa, here with a black drum on the beach at Assateague. And if you look close, you can see those little orange things. Zach, why don't you go ahead and take us to the zoom on the orange things? Yes, those, well, you turn the picture sideways. That's very confusing to
me. I made it bigger. I wanted it to be big.
We do want it to be big. Those orange things are Fish Bites clam flavor strips, okay? And this is going to sound a little weird, people, but trust me, it works. When you get out on the beach, bring along some Fish Bites clam strips, put them on your hook, then walk down into the wash and dig up some sand fleas. Take a sand flea and put it on the hook right alongside the Fish Bites. Pitch that sucker out there. The drum love it. I can't tell you I understand the magic behind this combination. I don't know what makes it work so good, but it really, really, really does work well. And it's really cool because, you know, historically, traditionally, you would have used probably some shuck clam or maybe some peeler crab to try and get the drum. Problem with both of those baits in the surf is when you wing that big heavy rig way, way, way out there, a lot of times those baits just plain fall off the hook. And that makes it difficult. Oh, Carl saying fleas made it happen this weekend. There you go. The sand fleas, they got that hard shell on the back. They're pretty rugged, so they stay on there pretty good. The Fish Bites are super duper rugged. They stay on there really good. And so using that combination, you can make a good hard cast. You can feel pretty confident that your bait is going to be on there. Quick aside, just so everybody knows, when you're digging those sand fleas, if you get a bunch of really big ones, put them in a bucket and take them home, okay? Or put them on ice. Take them home. Fry them up in garlic butter with Old Bay. They're really, really tasty. They really are.
Are you all right?
I swear, everybody seems kind of like weirded out by it, but it's so true. Sand fleas are awesome. You just take the back shell, pop it off, right? Throw away the back shell, too crunchy. Pop the rest into your mouth. It tastes like a cross between a crab and a shrimp. It's like super duper tasty. So if you get a bunch of those big sand fleas, I'm telling you, give that a shot. All right, why don't you go ahead and take us to the next slide, if you would, please, Zach. What is that background noise I hear?
That's eating.
Dude.
That's what happens when you eat sand fleas.
Good. They're really good. I don't know why people don't eat them more. So here we got an aerial shot of the beach. This is just ran in an article by Dave Moore on fishing. He's like other people know, it's not just me. Okay. Oh wait, really? Yeah, totally. 100%. I swear to God, they're awesome. They're awesome. Fry them right up, pop them down. It's delightful. Shrimp and crab. What could beat shrimp and crab together, right? In the same little crunchy body. Anyway, this picture was recently run in an article in the latest edition of Fish Talk. with an article by Dave Moore on fishing for redfish in the surf. Now, obviously, we're talking black drum, not reds. The reds will show up, but they usually show up 3 weeks to a month later than the blacks. But regardless, the important thing here is the picture, okay? Doesn't matter if you're fishing for black drum, red drum, rockfish, whatever. It's a really good illustration of what to look for on the beach. And that's kind of usually the biggest problem with surf fishing is people go, well, I don't know where to go. You just kind of walk out and go. What you want to look for is either a break in the outer bar or an area where the outer bar just completely dissipates and you're casting out into deeper water. Now, if you look at this picture on the right, the yellow circle, you can see where there's a break in that bar, right? It's really evident. That's a great place to go and cast. And the red line is just showing you where to stand there and cast. If you look up higher, that yellow line, you can see the outer bar kind of joins in with the beach right up there, right? That's also a good place to cast. What's important is that you don't just sort of walk out there and go wherever. You really want to look as you go. And if you're going out on Assateague where you can drive out, drive for miles. Just look and look and look and look and look. Everything kind of looks the same. And then all of a sudden you see something that looks a little different. Well, it's no different than, say, fishing a line of riprap. Sometimes you can see a wall of riprap and it all looks the same and you don't catch a whole lot of fish. And then you get to a spot where there's just something that looks different. Maybe some rocks fell out of the wall. Maybe there were extra rocks added. It makes a little point. Who knows? Just something, some sort of anomaly. Often, that's going to be where you really bang on the fish. Same exact thing in the surf. Look for these anomalies before you set up to fish. All right, so drum on the beach, ton of fun. I think it's time to move on to our next road trip. And Zach, I think we have something special here, don't we?
I'm sorry. Oh,
come on, there's something special. We're going to play a little video, people.
Oh, gotcha.
If Zach can find the right button. Are you looking for buttons, or are you just wondering what in God's name I'm talking about?
All right, here we go.
Naturally, camera guy is the first guy to hook the fish here. He's got it on the Slayer. It looks like a decent fish. Oh yeah. Now that's a good thing that's on the big rod, not the little rod. That would be a little tougher with the little rod. You got to watch that anchor line too. You got to horse these fish away. Oh yes.
Nice fish.
Holy mackerel. 42 pounds of blue catfish.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the blue cats. I do want to point out that it seems like every time we go fishing for blue cats, Zach, you have this really bad habit of catching the monster of the day. And that sucker was, what was he, 44 pounds? Is that right?
I think it was like 42 pounds, 42 inches. It was
42. Okay.
We didn't have a great ruler, but that's a trophy. That's a trophy. Over 40 is a trophy, just like a rockfish. So
that was a big darn catfish. We caught that thing. That was in February. That was late February on the Potomac. And people, the Potomac is not the only place you can get them. There are a lot of spots you can go to. There are a lot of ways to fish for them. We're going to talk about all that in just a moment. But first, we have a big announcement to make.
We do. So that rod that you just saw in that video, a pair of those can be yours. We actually have 2 sets. And for the next month, we're going to be doing a giveaway. So just all you do is hop over to this link here on our site and drop your name in the hat. And next month on Live with Lenny, we will announce the winner of a pair of Cat Slayer rods. And then anyone who entered still has a chance to win as we draw the next winner in the first week of June.
Yeah, so Okuma sent us 2 pairs. You get a pair, not one, you get a pair. They sent us 2 pairs of these Cat Slayers, which you saw in action. And the really kind of like sort of the key thing to remember about these rods, it's sort of like if you think about the different fisheries we all partake in, it's really hard to have one rod that's perfect for everything. There is no perfect rod for everything. It really takes a specific rod for a specific fishery. And the Okuma folks linked up with us a while back and said, you know, we're designing these rods specifically for these big catfish. And we want to spread the word. And, you know, we're here to help them do that. And we went out and used them, and we found that they delivered. And the biggest thing to me, there's a lot of stuff about these rods that is specific to the catfish. They're super heavy duty. They glow. They have the UV paint for night fishing for cats. But the thing that really sticks with me, what you saw in that video, Zach was really pushing this 40+ pound fish. He's pushing it hard. When you're fishing in a river like the Potomac, at the same time you're fighting a current, right? So if you're using, you know, it could be any really nice graphite tip, super sensitive rod, you get to high sticking like that to push that fish through the current up to the net, there's a good chance you're going to snap the tip. Like, that happens when you do that. These rods are specifically designed to be able to do that, and they're not going to break on you. And as you can see, Zach did it with that 40 pounder. It really, there's a bunch of other stuff which, you know, you can read about, we can talk about, but the bottom line is, if you want to go for the trophy blue cats, these cat slayers are perfect for it. And we're giving them away.
I got to tell you, I had no idea that was a 40 pounder. You know, that rod really handled, you know.
Oh, it busted that fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the crazy thing is, they are also still sensitive enough that you can see those little bites. Like, we knew as we were fishing. In fact, we caught several that were what, like 20, 22 inches?
Mm-hmm.
Small, you know, much smaller fish. And you could see that tip bouncing every time. You knew what was going on because the tips are still super sensitive. So, folks, get your chance to win. Just go right on over to fishtalkmag.com/Okuma. Or is that a backslash? I never know. And register there. And we're going to give away 2 sets of these guys.
Yeah,
all right.
Absolutely. Oh, and by the way, you can also check out that full video on our YouTube channel.
Yes, absolutely.
Just watched there. So
yep. We talk a whole lot more about all the different aspects of going for the big blue cats in that video. But for right now, let's just talk about some of your options you can do at this very moment. Hop in the car tomorrow. Zach, go ahead and bring up the next slide if you would, please. And here we're going to see a big blue that I managed to catch, not one that Zach caught. This was in the Patuxent River. I was actually perch fishing at the time, and this big guy hit. And the reason I wanted to pop this slide on was to express how these massive blue cats are at this point pretty much everywhere. I don't care if you live in, like, I don't know, Norfolk or Harford County. Doesn't matter. These guys are within driving distance. The James River, of course, is sort of the most famous for them. They've been there the longest. Multiple fish over 100 pounds have been caught from there. Kevin's asking, would you put a spinning reel or conventional reel on those rods? Kevin, they have both varieties. I believe the ones we have to give away are spinning. Is that correct, Zach?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. But they do have both varieties. They make them both ways.
We had the Okuma Seamar bait feeders rigged up that day, and they were awesome. And they're not very expensive. You know, like $100 bucks, $120 maybe.
Yeah, and that's my one thing when I'm fishing for these fish. I do like to have that bait feeder function so that you can, you know, toss it out there, click it on. You don't have to worry about something breaking off when you're not paying attention or whatever. Because often, you know, when you're going for the catfish, you're doing a fan cast of multiple rods. So you might not get on it instantaneously. So, of course, with a conventional reel, you know, you can go clicker on, reel and free spool. With a spinner, having that bait runner is a really good idea. And the Seamars work great for it. They were perfect. But anyway, you can get these guys anywhere. I don't care where you are, Maryland, Virginia. If you're coming down from PA, from Delaware, it's very easy to locate them. They're in the Susquehanna, has lots of big ones, lots and lots and lots. Just get within visual range of the Route 95 bridge, and you're in some heavy-duty blue cat territory. They're all over the Potomac. They're all over the upper Patuxent. The Rappahannock is full of them. Again, the James is kind of ground zero, but it sort of doesn't matter. All the tributaries now have them. This has been true of the Western Shore for some time. They've made their way to the Eastern Shore now. All the Eastern Shore tribs also have them. However, much more of the population is smaller fish. They just haven't been there quite as long as they've been on the Western Shore. So you're not likely to find the 40, 50, 60, 80 pounders over there. If you want to get the really ginormous ones, you do want to stick to the west side. And the Susquehanna merits another mention here because, 5 years ago, everybody was catching these 20-pound blue cats. Nowadays, everybody's catching these 34-pound blue cats. They're just going to keep going up. They're just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. And again, don't forget, when you catch one of these fish, boom, into the invasive species count, get your shot at winning the prizes. All right, you want to take us to the next slide, please, Zach? Here we have an interesting little tidbit to note. You can see this catfish bit on a floater rig. That is a buoyant bucktail, basically. It's
Tin Man lures.
Right. It's a Tin Man lures floating bucktail. And oh man, Zach, how many times have we found that was like the rig of the day? I mean,
it usually catches every time. It's nice to have the variation in your spread.
Yeah. It's not always the big ticket. Like that day on the Potomac, it wasn't. It caught some fish, but it wasn't the big ticket. But during Fish for a Cure a few years ago, it was the big winner. And we were fishing on the Patuxent. I guess it was about 2 weeks ago. It was kind of even up with the floater and the not floater. But you got to remember these blue cats, they're predators. They're not like some other catfish that just kind of mill around on the bottom and scavenge. They're up in the water column often, and they're hunting. And I don't know, maybe half the time that you're out there, the floater rig is going to be the ticket. It's just the one that wins, on occasion. Just like, compared to any fishery, there might be your favorite lure that you use all the time, and then the backup lure that some days, for whatever reason, it's the one that does a trick, right? Same kind of thing. Some days the floater rig is the ticket. All right, why don't you go ahead and take us to the next slide, if you would. One of the great things about these fish is when you catch them this size, right? That is an awesome eating fish right there. And as Zach mentioned, they're going to have that cooking demo at the boat show. If you're at the boat show, swing on by and check it out. The first time I had blue cat and kind of raised my eyebrows and went, wow, that was really good, was at a cooking demo for blue cats at a boat show. I think it was actually the Annapolis boat show. Didn't they have them there a few years ago?
Yeah, actually, Boatyard Bar and Grill made catfish cakes at the fall show.
It was the cakes.
I had like 5 of them.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. We all went over there and tasted one. They were like, "Oh my god!" It's kind of strange because, like, personally, I'm not really a big catfish guy. I didn't used to eat them. I really don't like channel cats that much, but the blue cats are different. They've got a nice white meat. It's a good flavor. It's nice and firm. It's not at all mushy. It's really a very different kind of experience than other catfish. And that catfish right there that Molly's holding, we took that home and we ate that guy the very next night. Him and about 3 or 4 others. And they were really quite good. So if you want to go out and have a shot at a total monster fish and at the same time have a shot at some really good eating fish, these blue cats, man, they are the ticket. Now, we're going to move on to our next fish in a moment because we got another road trip to cover here. But before we do, I just want to mention to folks, there's a lot of talk about catching up these blue cats, getting them out of the water. They're invasive. They're eating the rockfish, the crabs, the white perch, everything else. All true. And we've covered it a lot in Fish Talk. If you go to fishtalkmag.com and just type blue catfish into the search bar at the upper right on the homepage, you will get tons and tons of how to, where to info. We name specific spots, we name specific rigs, specific baits. It's all in there. Okay. So just head for the website, type in blue catfish in that upper right hand search box. It'll all pop right up. All right, Zach, we got another. Ooh, wait a minute. Southern Reds are maybe a speck. Well, big sexy baits. It could be, but I'll be mighty tempted by this next one too.
I'm gonna tease a little bit with a comment here. We forgot about Ocean City Coastal Rock is still open.
That is true. That is true. And actually, from the reports, there have actually been a few that are keeper-sized fish there caught too. Not many.
Well, he's saying Route 90 bridge has been hot.
Yeah, it's mostly throwbacks, but there are some coming up, and that is definitely some good action.
All right, was that enough of a tease for the next road trip?
Yes, we're gonna do another road trip now. We're gonna jump in the car. We're gonna drive down the Eastern Shore, and we're gonna go to anywhere from Ocean City clear on down to Mockhorn. Flounder are here, people. Most folks wait till May or June before they start flounder fishing in the coastal bays. I got news for you. They're here. April, historically, at some point, could be beginning, could be middle, somewhere in there, they start to show up. It's a little tough to get good numbers at first. You might be able to get, 2, 3, 4 in a day. This right here is an early April fish in Ocean City. And the fishing for flounder in Ocean City in April can be shockingly good because there aren't 8,000 million pontoon boats running around in every direction at all times. It's still quite quiet. The fish haven't been pounded to death yet. And it can be quite a surprise how good the fishing is. Now, we've already been getting reports coming in from readers of catches as high as 4 or 5 at a time in an afternoon. 21 keepers in the month of March this year. Holy cow. That is nice. You're doing good. That is really nice. But it's on. It's on, people. It's on. So head for those coastal bays. What I like to do, and the reason I grabbed this particular slide to talk about this, is I like to take a sort of a finesse style bait like this one with that split tail. I like that more than a paddle tail for the flounder. I like the way you can bounce them along the bottom in quick little hops. And I put on somewhere between a 1/2 ounce and a 3/4 ounce head. And I'll hop that sucker right along the bottom. I really like a 5-inch gulp jerk shad for this. That's exactly what that bait is. White or chartreuse. And, historically, we would take a fluke killer rig, right, with a hair and the spinners and the beads, and put on a squid strip and a squid strip and a minnow. That works. That always worked. It'll still work today. But I think I do better bouncing that jig. All right, now go ahead and take me to the next slide, if you would, please, Zach. Because here we got another one. This is another one that works really good. Take that old school fluke killer rig, and instead of putting on the squid and the flounder, put on a gulp twister tail. They call them swimming mullet. They work exceptionally well. Kevin's mentioning the Tin Man floating jigs for flounder. Absolutely. Yes, they were great for flounder. Just rig them 3-4 feet behind your weight, drag them along, put your bait on the Tin Man. I believe that's actually what they're intended for. I don't think they were really ever intended for the blue cats. It's just sort of something we started doing. But really, they are a flounder bait. And you could take that and do the same thing with this gulp swimming mullet. This has become the go-to bait for fishing at the inshore wrecks and reef sites for the flounder, where you're drifting along in the ocean, 40, 60, 80 feet of water. Guess what? Also works great in the back bays. I like the pinks for this. I like the whites for this. I like the chartreuse for this. All good bets. All right, go ahead and take us to the next slide, if you would, please.
A lot of guys were liking the orange color last year, and
really,
I've actually caught them on a brown, like a pumpkin seed color.
Huh.
So I mean, they work great, all of them.
Oh, you never know what those darn fish are going to eat. So you don't. This is another Ocean City fish, another April Ocean City fish. You don't need spectacularly heavy tackle for this. The rods you use for jigging for rock are probably really good for it. You can't really see it in the picture, but one thing I would super duper highly recommend for this is having braid. Now, if you're using the fluke killer with a squid and a minnow, and you old timers will remember this, when a flounder takes that, you'll feel this jiggle, 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 jiggle. And if you set the hook, you're going to miss the fish every time. Because what's happened is the flounder's grabbing it, right? Flounder's a toothy fish. He'll grab a bait, squeeze it and shake his head and kill the bait. You know, he's trying to kill that minnow. Then he sucks it all the way into his mouth. It's not like a rockfish that tries to suck something right in head first and just swallow it. Flounder try and kill it first. So if you're using that fluke killer rig, you feel that jiggle jiggle, you set the hook, you're going to miss it. You got to wait for the thump, 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 which is what you feel when the flounder starts to swim away. Okay? He's swimming away now. He's got it in his mouth. He's done eating. Thump, thump, thump. Now set the hook. But with a jig, it's very different. The flounder's grabbing that jig. You want to immediately set the hook. And if you're using mono, you're going to be slow. You're going to have stretch in the line. Doesn't work as good. Now, what if the flounder grabs it without getting the hook? That happens quite a bit, right? Happens a lot. I don't know, 40% of the time, maybe 50% of the time. But here's the thing. If you're using that gulp, right, that jerk shad or that swimming mullet, that fish has tasted it. It wants it. It does not want to let it get away. It thinks it's real. It will come right back and hit it. If it didn't feel the sting of a hook the first time, I mean, shoot, I've had flounder hit the same jig on the same retrieve 5, 6 times before I got a solid hook set. But they keep coming back. They just keep coming back. So, again, if you got mono, there's a good chance you're going to rear back, you know, if you feel the fish quick enough. You rear back. If you don't hook the fish, you just can't feel what's going on. And you might get a semi-hook set, but not really because of the stretch in the line. It just ends up working out a lot better if you're using the braid. Again, that's just for the jigs, right? That's for jigging for them, not necessarily fishing bait. All right, let's go on to the next slide, if you would please, Zach. We've done our 3 road trips. Now we're going to do a whole bunch of rapid-fire road trips because we want to go all over the place and catch a whole bunch more fish. Redfish. Guess what? Guess what? There are reds to be had right now down in the Virginia Beach area, the Elizabeth River, fishermen's over on the southern tip of the eastern shore. My son David was down there 2 weeks ago. He was already catching redfish. Okay? These fish things have changed, people. These fish are no longer leaving the Chesapeake Bay in the wintertime. They're still around. Guys who are trying hard and suffering through the winter cold are figuring out how to catch them year round. They are absolutely positively in those waters right now, and you absolutely positively can go get them. Probably, you know, the best spots are going to be the west side Virginia inlets, Lynn Haven, Rudy. Those are going to be probably the top prospects, maybe up by Cape Charles, Fisherman's Island, that zone. But you know what? We live in a different age, and those fish are there now. They are. They're ready to be caught. All right, Zach, going ahead to the next one, please. Here's another great fishery that's going on, the white perch. Now, I know what a lot of you people are thinking. The white perch started running kind of early this year, and in a lot of spots, they're probably kind of done already. That may be true, but this picture was actually taken at a pond at Triton Beach, a salt pond connected to the bay through a culvert. The salt ponds, and there are a lot of them up and down both shores, for whatever, I don't know the nature reason why, but for whatever reason, the salt pond white perch, they get a spawning run that's like a week to 2 weeks behind. Oh, Dave's watching. You got a 32 red down at Fisherman's last week in a foot of water. There you go, people. Like, they're there. But anyway, the salt pond white perch, they run like a week to 2 weeks behind the river runs of the white perch. They just do it later for, I don't know the why, but they do it later. So right now, that bite is really kind of just cranking up. And right now, you can go to any of the salt ponds and hit them and have a great experience. Again, within driving distance of just about everybody, you know, in Chesapeake Country. So great option. And we got another one. Go ahead, Zach. Let's bring it up. We got one more. Let's not forget about this one, people. Crappie. April is a phenomenal crappie month. This species feeds super duper hard before they go into spawning mode. They kind of sort of bite all winter, but kind of slow, you know. And then as soon as it starts to warm up, April, man, they just bang. They were on fire. This picture is from one of the Eastern Shore mill ponds. Gosh, which one? One of the ones in Salisbury. I'm not sure in specific. But anyway, all those Eastern Shore mill ponds, they are going to be on fire right now. If you go down there, take a regular old bull minnow. You want a pretty small one. Crappie generally like a small minnow. Put it under a bobber, maybe 3 feet under a bobber on a marabou jig or a shad dart. Just drift it around there in the pond, anywhere over the weed beds, along the the edges, the channels of the mill ponds. I call them channels. You know, they're like 4 feet, while the rest of the mill ponds 3 feet. But you know, be that as it may, the crappie are just they go nuts at this time of year. This is a rocking cool time to get them. Absolutely wonderful. All right. Ooh, Zach, do we have any questions piling up in the queue at this point?
We do not.
We do not. Oh my God. People, throw some questions out there. What do you want to talk about? What are you thinking about? Because those are our 3 hot road trips plus a little bit. So Amped Up saying, give me channel cats for catch and release. 10-pound channel cat fights way harder than most blue cats. I don't know. Channel cats do fight good. They do fight good, but the blue cats have surprised me a time or two. What do you think, Zach?
I think the blue cats end up kind of sometimes just spinning up. They just, it's kind of like pulling up dead weight sometimes with those bigger ones.
Wow. So you're with Amped Up, huh?
I've had channel cats hit jigs and I thought it was a rockfish. So.
Yeah, channel cats do blast stuff. They're very active. But I've had the blue cats. It's very interesting. A lot of guys just fish for them with like jigs and chatterbaits and catch them, and they do smash them. So Dave saying fishing a flounder tournament at Chesapeake in May. What's your best tip for someone that has never fished that area before? Dave, I have a great tip for you. When, not if, when you run aground, don't feel bad. You cannot fish those waters without running aground at least like 3 times a day. And I say that as someone who runs aground at least 3 times a day every time I go fishing back there. So don't feel bad when it happens. In fact, when I go down to any of those waters, I always tell people, I'm like, look, we're going to run aground. Don't be worried. It's not a big deal. Worst case scenario, I'll step out and push us off. But we're going to run aground. It happens. So beyond that, don't be afraid to fish those areas where you will run aground. Because a lot of times, early in the season, still in May, you'll find really nice flounder that push up into super shallow water on an incoming and high tide. Now, on a falling tide, different story, right? Falling tide, you want to go to the channel edges. That's generally going to be your best bet. But on that incoming and high tide, look for those areas where there are oyster piles and 1 to 3 feet of water. Does not have to be a lot of water. Also look for areas where the marsh is draining out into a creek, and you might have, a flat that's a foot or 2 deep surrounding it, but it's like 2.5 feet deep right at the mouth of that little creek. That stuff can be really, really good on that high water or incoming tide. Now that is 100% a jig fish, right? You're not going to want to try and cast a baited rig into that kind of water and drift it. That doesn't work so good. You'll want to downsize your head, 1/2 ounce at most, 1/4 ounce is fine, and you'll want to throw it out and then just bounce it along bottom. Be sure to bring extra heads, because on those oyster piles you will lose some lures. It's going to happen, but that can be really, really effective on some very nice fish. And again, when the tide's going out, when it's low, shift over to those channel edges, and that's generally where those fish are going to move. What you'll see is a lot of people will just drift the channel edges back and forth all day long. I don't know why, but some people just kind of never get out of that. And you know, when the low tide, that is the thing to do. But when that water's coming in, think shallow. Do I have a flounder trip planned this year? You know, at this point, I don't. But honestly, Big, I tend to plan no more than like 3 days in advance. I do not have much planned.
The joys of self-employment.
The one thing, I'll tell you one thing I do have planned, and that is to fish the Smith Island tournament this year. I'm getting kind of psyched about that. That's in May. Do you know the date, Zach?
I think it's the 16th through 18th.
That should be a lot of fun.
And you can fish that anywhere in the bay. The
Right.
spirit of the tournament is to, you know, fish the Tangier Sound, you know, visit the island, rent an Airbnb, use that as your home base because you're already 12 miles out into the bay. You're
Right.
just, the target ship's just a stone's throw away and everything's just right there.
Which is what we're doing, right? We got a house on the island. It's a lot of fun. It's a really fascinating community. A lot of cool people out there. It's really interesting.
Good
Very
people.
unique.
Good, welcoming, generous people.
Yeah, and super unique. It's, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it the only remaining inhabited island in Maryland waters? Is that right?
I don't know. Little Dobbins is for sale. There's a house on that, so I don't know what the qualify.
It's like the only one with a town.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, something like that. But it's super cool. It's really very interesting. And normally I hate tournament fishing. It drives me nuts because I get all wrapped. Oh my god, I gotta catch fish. It's like, okay, great. Add stress to my fishing. Like I need that, you know. But this is a fun one, and it's a kind of a cool deal where what you're fishing for is the slam. It's a combination redfish, rockfish, speck. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, redfish, rockfish, speck. Biggest stringer of the three.
Don't forget the Calcutta.
And yeah, and their Calcutta is for biggest single fish.
Oyster toadfish. Oyster toad is the
Calcutta. Why the toadfish?
Which you're so good at catching. This should be our focus.
Oh my god. Yeah, I've caught some big toadfish in my time. Let me tell you.
All right, lots of questions rolling in. I'm going to group them by category, but we got one more flounder question, and I think it's an easy answer. But do you use any scent on the jerk shad for flounder?
So no, the jerk shad is scented. That is a scent impregnated bait. There's no doubt in my mind that the fish do like it, and I say that because I got sold on this stuff. Man, it was years ago. I was in the Little Choptank River, and I got a tangle in my reel, and my lure was sitting on the bottom, right? And while I was undoing the tangle, a croaker, a big croaker, ate it and swam away. And I'm like, oh my god! So I'm like hauling it in by hand, caught this big croaker, and then just re-yucks, threw the lure back over the side. And I go back to undoing my tangle. Another one did it. Happened again. They'll eat the gulp. They will eat it. They'll like swallow it down. So the jerk shad, no additional scent is necessary. Oh, Wayne, mentioning Rex, maybe remind folks of the AWAS map. I put a link on my Fishing Reefs Facebook page. So the Facebook page, Zach, can we put up like a link to the page or whatever? The Fishing Reefs page?
I'll put it in the comments.
Okay. Zach will put the link in the comments. Yeah, so the I guess you call it mapping systems, the government basically decided we're not going to do it anymore. They just turned it off. But Wayne had downloaded all the intel and basically recreated it, and you can still see it all. So it's pretty darn cool. And anybody who reads Fish Talk will recognize Wayne's name. They will know that he does gobs and gobs of really detailed where-to informational articles in Fish Talk. And he's also written numerous books that go into the reefs and the wrecks in the bay and up and down the coast in the Delaware Bay off the beach. I say numerous because I think when I met Wayne, he had one book. And I've lost count. I've lost count. There got to be 6 by now, right? 6 or 7. Wayne, let us know the number because, man, I've even lost count at this point.
And actually, there's actually a couple articles featuring Chincoteague. So for Dave Bug, who asking, it kind of focuses on the offshore wrecks. So, if you're not having luck inside the bay and you want to poke out to those wrecks, you can go to Fish Talk, type in Chincoteague, and there's 2 articles from Wayne with some charts on it.
You know what, Wayne? Type in Watchaprague too, because we did an article a while back on Watchaprague that talked a lot about the tactics as well as the specific areas. And all those tactics apply. Like Watchaprague, Chincoteague, Quimby, they're super similar water. It's all very, very similar.
16 books. I think he's got you beat.
16. Oh my God. Wayne, you
need more books, Lenny.
Yeah, that's double my count. Wow. 16. Holy mackerel. Oh, Fred's saying flounder fishing in Chincoteague is very good during April. Great with live minnow. Yeah, man. It's funny how people just don't seem to think of April as flounder time. And like someone mentioned a little while ago, March, you can start getting them. You absolutely can. It's tougher. Their numbers are thinner, but you absolutely can. By the time April rolls around, you can get some good catches. We got a reader photo in like 2 or 3 days ago of 5 flounder laid out in the boat. And I think that one, I can't remember if that was Watchaprague or Chincoteague or
Chincoteague.
What's that?
The report from this week was Chincoteague.
It was Chincoteague. Okay. There you go. Yeah. April is a great flounder time. It's actually, in some ways, it's definitely better than summer because once summer hits, man, there can be a lot of competition on those waters.
Watchaprague can be pretty hit or miss, but if you follow the Watchaprague in Facebook page, they put out pretty regular reports on the fishing bite down there. Well, Tommy loves toads. Apparently, the toads are awesome. He says we're switching gears here. They have the strongest bite of any fish in our waters, like pit bulls. I'm surprised you don't have any toadfish in your fish tank yet.
Interesting take. I've tried it. They don't live well. I had one for maybe a month this year and last fall, and I've had them in the past. But they tend, for whatever reason, they do great for about a month and then they stop eating. I don't know why. They're really cool looking fish. They really are super cool looking.
All right, we got 3 fishing topics to switch over to.
All right, well, I got one more thing I got to say.
We only got 7 minutes.
I got to say one more thing. Toadfish are edible. And I was advised once that I should try them. And I did. And what I learned is that you will not die if you eat toadfish, but toadfish are not edible.
You said they were good. There was just it was like 1% meat.
No, horrible.
It
was like eating like fishy oatmeal. Fishy oatmeal. Yeah. If you like that kind of thing, more power to you. I'm not keeping any more toadfish.
All right.
Sam, please.
You're a mess.
By a mile.
Kevin asks, what is your top 1 or 2 top artificial baits for crappie?
So I'll give you my very, very favorite. And this one I use 90% of the time I go crappie fishing. I get a 16th ounce jig head and I put on a 2-inch tube jig, the kind that's solid in the front and then has all the little wigglies in the back. I like red and white first, then I like blue and white, then I like chartreuse, then I like white. And of course, fish's preference changes day to day, waterway to waterway. So I carry all those and I use them in that order. And if I don't feel like I'm catching enough, I go to the next color and I just keep rotating through. And that is a highly effective lure for crappie. Now you got to fish really light to fish that, right? It's a really tiny head. You got to use like 4-pound test, 6-pound test at most. But the crappie, man, they bang them up. That's my favorite.
Okay, we're gonna circle back to some blue cat questions. Rich is asking, does Fishing Bay or Chop Tank have any populations of blue cats?
Fishing Bay, I don't know about. The Chop Tank for sure. Absolutely. Now, like I mentioned, they're not as big over there because they just haven't been there as long. They transferred over there when we had the big freshets. Was it 5 years ago, 6 years ago? Remember the
Sounds about
freshet?
right. Yep.
Something like that. All that spring rain and the salinity in the bay just plunged. And they went all over the place. That's kind of when they scattered everywhere. So most of the fish over there are, 20 to 30 inches maybe. You're not going to find many that are a whole lot bigger. They'll get bigger. 10 years from now, I'm sure we'll be catching the 30-pounders. But as of now, that's the deal with the Chop Tank. There are large numbers. I've talked to a couple people who've gotten into them big time up the Chop Tank, pretty far up towards like Denton, like that zone. There's tons of them. Fishing Bay, I don't know about, but I think a lot will depend there on the salinity because that has the potential to either, to swing quite a bit depending on the rainfall, depending on the water flow. Right now, we got pretty darn high salinity. We have not had a ton of rainfall. We haven't had a ton of freshwater flow going into the bay. It's been below average for like a couple of months. And so salinity's up. The last 5-6 years at this time of year, you've been able to go out to Thomas Point and catch blue cats up until, probably May. And then as the salinity started coming up, the blue cats would retreat back up into the fresher areas. This year, it's salty enough that, I'm not going to say it'll never happen because crazy stuff happens, but I would be surprised if there were blue cats in areas like that, where it's, going to be a little saltier right now.
Some people mentioning the Nanocoke as well. I did the Nanocoke Derby last year, and we caught I don't know, hundreds in a matter of hours, 60 anglers, but big and small. I think,
Yeah, Marshy Hope's full of them. Really all the rivers, they're just full of them.
And there's a ramp right at Sharptown so that you can just basically catch them off the docks.
They eat everything and they take over rather rapidly. And I think it's the Potomac where they did the assessment and they figured that blue cats now account for 75% of the biomass of the entire river. Which is, why we got to get into this invasive species thing and get these fish out of the water. Best size reel for the blue cat again. Zach, do you remember what the size was on the Seamars?
They were like 4,000s, but I feel like 6,000s probably. If you're going for the big ones, I think you probably want to amp that up a little bit.
Yeah, the ones we were using were actually a little on the small side. Like we all thought, hey, we should go up a size, 5,000, 6,000.
I was actually using a 6,000 for that 40 pounder.
Okay.
Yep. All right. What else we got going?
It's quite a little logo thing on the. It looks like David is at a party.
All right. Oh well.
It's a logo or a thumbnail. I don't know what you call that.
One question. Thanks everyone for tuning in. One more question, one more topic that we did not hit on yet, which is a huge spring opportunity. And Will is asking recommendations for snakehead.
Ooh, yeah. So actually, last night I went to the Kent Island Fishing Club to watch my son David speak on reds and snakes. And he mentioned this thing. Oh, shucks, he had a name for it. What was it? At this time of year. Gosh, Zach, maybe you'll have heard of this. I don't know. At this time of year, the snakeheads seem to push way up the rivers. The spring push, is that what they call it? Does that sound right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. So, and I found at this time of year, on the Patuxent, you go way up the little tributaries. I'm talking to areas where you could not quite jump across, but if they were half the width, you could jump across. The snakeheads push way up there and they sun themselves in those areas that are getting beaten on by afternoon sunlight. And on a nice warm sunny day during a 2-3 day warming trend in the afternoon, that can get epic when you push way up one of those rivers, one of those creeks. That's the best snakehead fishing I've ever experienced for sure. So my recommendation for snakehead trips at this time of year would be to look for that type of scenario. Doesn't it can be any one of the trips, any one of the rivers. They've all got kind of similar hydrography and geography. You're going to have an area where fresh water is flowing in, where the river tightens up. I'd say go there. The coolest thing about that is it's a sight fishery. These fish are up on the surface, on the edges, trying to warm up. They're bathing in the sun. And so they're, you kind of move along real slow and look for them, and you can spot them. You'll see them hiding next to a tree, next to a limb, next to a big weed ball. And what I found really effective for them is to take a 4-inch fluke and just drop it right on top of that fish's head, because they really don't seem to want to eat when they're doing this. Like, I have drifted minnow over and over again right past these fish, totally ignore it. I've thrown spinnerbaits by them, totally ignore it. It's not like they want to eat. But when you take that fluke and cast it and literally drop it on the fish's head, what you do is you trigger a fight or flight reaction. And half the time the fish just swims away. Shucks, dang it, right? Half the time it just goes kaboom and attacks with a vengeance. And it's a really fun way to fish and very effective. I found that super effective in like the mid to late April kind of time frame.
Awesome. All right, one more question.
All right.
Switching gears here. I would say this time of year they are in moves up to the shallows. When I would hit Blackwater, I would go as far up as I could, and we'd tear them up. At the end of March, I think was the best day we ever had. We must have caught like 30 of them between our group, and then and it's like a pre-spawn. I think they spawn multiple times a year, and I think the first one is when the weather warms, and they get like lockjaw. I've seen them paired up and dropping the paddle tail right on top of their head, and they just will not budge.
Yeah,
they're not interested.
Don't drop it on top of their head. You got to cast it past them, and then
just snag them.
They're invasive. It's legal.
I know
it's legal.
I know a guy that does that. All right, we're gonna take one more question, and thank you everyone for tuning in, and all your comments. Been awesome.
Thank you, Christopher. Would you fish recent lure for black drum at this point in the year? It's a little early, but it's not a lot early. Like the lower bay ones, they'll start showing up real soon. I haven't heard of any yet. I would not be surprised if we got a report within the next week or two. Could be 3. It's really hard to say, especially because we had that cold winter this year. It was not, as mild as it has been. But man, it's coming on real soon. And the blacks are usually the first of the drum to show up. They're kind of the first of the big fish to show up. And those lower bay reef sites, the lower bay areas there are a lot of historically popular areas, basically from the Pocomoke all the way down to the CBBT and the shoals out there around Fisherman's. All those areas, I would expect to hear something real soon. So yeah, I would, maybe not this week. We got some crummy weather this week. We're going to need to wait another week or two for things to warm up good, it looks like, from the weather reports. But yeah, it's coming on. It will not be much longer.
Cool. And one last comment, switching back over to snakeheads. Amped Up team has been slamming the snakehead on frog.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and David likes this new duck lure, apparently. I guess they'll eat anything.
Duck, snakes. I want a cat lure. You hear that? You hear that, Amped Up guys? Make me a cat lure. I want a cat that I can throw to the snakes.
I don't get it.
Oh God, I should have said that. Next thing you know, someone's going to be like, "Look, here's a little cat."
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And just a reminder, the Great Chesapeake Invasive Count is kicked off for another year. And if you're just tuning in now, you get a free entry for prizes just for registering. And then for every fish you catch it for that month, you'll be entered in the drawing. And if you didn't see the awesome prizes that we gave away earlier, got CCA fishing tools, more fishing tools, and Eagle coolers. So definitely check that out.
Zach, let's put up the cat slayers again, man. People, don't forget. All you got to do is go to the link, plug in your email, or just go to Fish Talk Mag, and you'll be able to find it. Right?
Yeah, it's right on the top right. If you're on your phone, scroll down a bit past the latest articles, and it'll be right under the current issue.
Yeah, there you go. It's free to enter. It's free to enter, people. We want to give you these fishing rods. You get a pair. It's pretty sweet.
Yep. And just to reiterate again, we're also giving away boat show tickets, so you can sign up for both of those in one fell swoop. And we hope to see you at the boat show next week.
That'll be fun.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, people. Thank you, Zach, for running the show. As always, next time we go fishing, please, please, please try not to catch 3 times as many fish as I do, because it really is damaging to my ego. Okay?
I'll do my best.
Oh.
Have a good one, everybody.
Good night.